I think that this is has a lot of potential. I was thinking, as a producer, how can we take on the NFT concept? And this is just one idea. I've had conversations with people, and we'll talk more about in future videos about how you can use NFTs for like merchandise or like album releases or stuff like that. I think that if you're not paying attention to NFTs, you're doing yourself a disservice. All right, welcome back to Kevin Savage TV. My name is Kevin Savage, and today we are going to dive into something that is a little bit different, a little bit outside of our normal scope of tutorials and kind of the theory behind production and stuff like that. And we're going to dive into a space that some of you guys might be familiar with. Let's hop in and get into the slideshow. Crypto. Some of you probably are like, whoa, I thought we were talking about music, but we're actually going to be talking a little about crypto and how crypto can be used for music producers, which is something that I'm passionate about. So if you aren't familiar with crypto, pause this video, come back to this video, go do a little bit of research Bitcoin, research Ethereum, kind of look into what's going on. You probably are relatively familiar. I know that a lot of people in the music space are pretty passionate about this stuff, so you probably don't need it, but just in case, do your research. Just a little bit of context: Bitcoin value in 2018, post the 2017 crash, was about $3,000. It hit about 20 grand, went down to 3 grand, and then it's now Bitcoin value as I make this video is around 48 grand. Ethereum, which is another type of cryptocurrency and blockchain, it crashed in 2017 as well. It was at $89, was where it settled, and its value today is $1,800. So keep those in the back of your mind as we kind of dive into what I'm about to get into. Now, you might have heard this word this acronym floating around. NFT stands for Non-Fungible Token. It is often based off of the Ethereum blockchain to store content. It is a sellable and tradable digital asset. I put the little asterisk by there because in itself it's a digital asset, but some people have got theirs set up where it can't be sold and traded. It just kind of depends. But typically speaking, it's a sellable or tradable digital asset. And I think the other important piece and factor, which kind of gets into the whole thesis behind this video today, is that it is growing on secondary markets. So the resale markets, the non-end users really are enjoying NFTs and are making a lot of money off of NFTs. And so the creators are actually making a lot of money too off the NFTs. And the final buyers will hold and maybe they'll sell, but there's a huge growing secondary market, similar to like StockX with like Yeezys. So first I want to talk about is a case study. There's a music producer and crypto enthusiast named Rack. When he created his last album, they were discussing kind of like what they should do, what mediums they should release, like for like physical merchandise. They were kind of shying away from cassettes until they kind of came up with this idea of releasing a cassette token. They released 100 of them. Those 100 tokens could theoretically be redeemed for a physical cassette. They initially sold them for $20. They immediately sold out. The resale value skyrocketed up to $4,200 and then ultimately settled around $200 because people would buy them, and then if someone redeemed them, there is one less cassette. So if you wanted the cassette, you would in some cases have to pay the higher premiums. This is an example of how crypto can be interfaced with kind of the music space. It's not exactly what we're talking about necessarily in this video, but I want to show an example of someone, kind of the proof of work that someone has done. Someone in the music space has utilized crypto and specifically NFTs to add to their career and add to their livelihood. So my question to you is, what if you could unlock an entirely new market? Would you take that opportunity? I know that I would. So let's dive into what I mean. So my concept is this. What if producers sold the exclusive license of their beats and instrumentals as NFTs? So the idea behind it is that anyone can theoretically buy the NFT. It can be held, it can be resold, or it can be unlocked. Anytime the NFT is resold, the producer receives a commission of the sale. This percentage of commission the producer receives, or the original minter receives, is written into the smart contract of the NFT. A lot of this stuff is very transparent. When you're buying an NFT, you can see how much the reseller is going to make. And then the individual who chooses to unlock the NFT then has access to the content, which they can then choose to edit or release, similar to what they would do with any sort of like normal exclusive license. Now, there's only one particular way that this is only kind of one particular way that this concept can be done. I would say, please, after you watch this video, think about how, other ways this could be done. And I've had some conversations with folks who they have their own kind of ideas about how this sort of NFT exclusive license or licensing, trading or reselling can be done. And they have their own kind of ideas behind it. Now, what's important to note is that the parameters of the percent of commission to the initial price of the NFT, to the extent of ownership of the NFT holder, is up to the producer when they mint the NFT. So what I mean by that is that when you initially create the NFT, you determine how much commission you want to make anytime this is resold, and that's kind of the market share that we're pulling in this particular concept. Normally, it's beat maker and then artist, right? Or beat maker and then rapper. They would buy or they would lease the beat, and then they might hold on to it. But you don't typically see this idea of a collector of beats, but you see a collector of art, of paintings. Why can't there be people who collect and hold on to these beats, and as the artist grows, there's an increase of value? Maybe they someday want to release it, It's just another potential market share. So let's get into this concept a little deeper, right? There are a few tools that one would need if they wanted to try this theory out. They would need a digital wallet. We'll get into that. They would need the content, so the track stems, the art, the license. I definitely would recommend creating a license, a good beat license that dictates, hey, if this track ever gets released, how much am I owed? And then make it fair and kind of think about it and consider kind of what makes sense to you, because ultimately it's up to you. And whatever you put into this is ultimately going to be the value of your NFT. So think about that and let that play into your strategy. You need the chosen digital market front or market or storefront. We'll talk about a couple of options there. And then the place that you would mint. And minting is where you create the NFT. You write the blockchain, essentially. You write the content to the blockchain. So first thing I want to talk about is digital wallet. Those of you who aren't familiar with crypto won't necessarily be familiar with this. I list MetaMask up here. It's my particular favorite. I like its interface. It has an iOS app. You have Trust Wallet, you have Pillar Wallet, Coinbase, Fortmatic, which I misspelled. But these are all just a couple of different digital wallets. They'll hold your assets, your NFTs. They'll also hold any sort of crypto you have on there. Many of these you can use to turn fiat currency, which is like dollars or euros, into crypto. But there's usually fees involved. So keep in mind, that's kind of probably going to be the biggest barrier right now, is just the fees. But hopefully that'll change. The next thing that's important, obviously, is the content. Keep it within reason. A lot of these NFTs cost money to create, a little bit at least, and it can be more expensive the more stuff that you put in there. One way to kind of get around this is theoretically hosting your content. If you have a large file on a decentralized cloud server, but that has its own challenges. Ideally, keeping it all in the NFT is best, and there are some platforms that I think allow this a little bit easier than others, so that's going to come into play when you determine kind of where you mint at. But this could be, the track master, the stems, track art, project file, if you can get it small enough, social media, links, website, put your information in there. You've minted this, you've spent the money minting it. And then, of course, the license. And sit down, construct a license that really dictates kind of how much you're going to get. Because once you put this stuff in that NFT, it is not editable, right? That is one of the beauties of NFTs, is you can't edit it, you can't counterfeit it. And then, of course, this is some optional info. I would say maybe storing the content on a decentralized cloud server is useful. One potential benefit of that is you could theoretically change the content a little bit if you need to add something in there, you forget it. But also the idea behind using a decentralized cloud server is that you don't have to worry about rules or things changing or going away. Now, this may be a little bit hard right now. There's not a lot of that options that are easy to use. You want one that you can create a URL that you can then plop into your NFT to mint to it. And so just keep that in mind. I mean, you could use, Gmail or Google Drive, but it might be easier if you find one that's decentralized. Also, decentralized previewing location, something like YouTube, but decentralized. Opacity.io, I think is their name, as well as like Odyssey.com are potential ones. The idea behind this is to upload a preview so that way someone has an idea of what they're getting. Now, some NFTs you can mint like a preview video in it so that someone can have an idea of kind of what they're getting. But it's not bad to also put that preview somewhere else and tie that back to your NFT. You can use YouTube, but YouTube just tends to change its policies a lot, and having something that's a little bit more stable for the long run might provide extra value to your NFT. Also, you're dealing with a lot of decentralized stuff. Why not take it a step further with where your content is hosted? Now, a digital marketplace. This is ultimately going to be where you sell your NFT, or your NFT gets bought and then maybe traded. This is OpenSea. It's probably one of the most common ones for kind of a wide variety. I like them. There are some other ones. Super Rare is one that does require an invitation, or kind of it's curated by the owners. Mintable is good. It's probably one of the most common ones, but it is a little expensive. A lot of these you can do your own minting on. Ghost Market, I'm not a giant fan of their UI, but they, I believe, are a bit cheaper than some of the other ones to do minting on. Like all of these, other than Super Rare, I think you can do minting on, but each one has their own kind of parameters, and we'll get into a little bit more about kind of why that's important. Also, something to keep in mind, some digital marketplaces will allow you to create kind of storefronts. Some of them cost money, so that's something to keep in mind. Others are free. So some things to consider as you're going on this process: service fees. How much is the host, the market, going to take from your sale? What tokens are supported? So what sort of Ethereum blockchain is supported? The size of the market share. Obviously, you want an audience. You don't want to go to a platform that is got no audience. But also you want to go to a platform that maybe has an audience that would be interested in your content. So that can play a factor. The size of the kind of what they're interested in, the audience is interested in, the ease of interface. So some of them are going to be a little bit easier. I think Rareable has a really kind of cutesy interface, whereas Ghost Market is a little bit more old school feeling, and so that may turn some people off. And so you want your people to come in and know how to use your interface. And so kind of how easy it is important, right? How easy it is for someone to get started and buy your NFT. And then of course, costs are going to be a huge factor. And this, you're going to kind of have to weigh all of these pieces out as you're figuring out what marketplace you're going to use and what minting place you're going to use. Some of them offer gasless minting but there might be some drawbacks to that. Some of them may offer the ability to adjust commission, and then some of them have a cost for the storefront. So kind of as you dive in, you need to think about these pieces. Now, minting is the process of creating the NFT, the token, the $Beat, essentially. And so this is something that I really recommend doing your research. I will do my best to do supplementary content for all of this kind of intro video to this concept, as I figure out what I think is better, until someone develops their own platform dedicated for people in the audio space. And listen, if you're a programmer and you're thinking about doing this, feel free to reach out to me. I'm more than happy to talk to you about my idea. We can work on it together or something like that, because I think that this could be a really cool way to trade licenses in a way that's not really been thought of yet. What you're seeing is NFT.cred. It's probably the one that I'm most interested in, because it allows you to create these smart contracts, and they kind of market it to the concept of influencers, which is a little bit different. You have OpenSeas, which does have some low fees. I don't know if NFT Cred has fees. Rarible definitely has fees, and it can be very expensive. Right now, I'm in the process of minting something, and it's not even done yet. I'm not even sure if it's going to ever get done, but it's basically cost me like $30. And if I wanted to get it done immediately, it would have cost me like almost $200. It's just insane. It didn't used to be that way, but Ethereum and the popularity and the cost and kind of how congested it is, that's why it costs so much. You have Wax, Deadmau5 released on Wax, but Wax I think requires you to be a programmer or know someone who's a programmer, so it might not be the most make sense for everyone. Ghost Market, I don't know about the fees, small fees I think. It seems to be relatively common for people who just kind of want to put stuff out a little quicker. I'm just not a giant fan of their interface. Mintable has a gasless option. It does not allow you to adjust the commission though, so you can create your own storefront, do the advanced version, pay them money, and you can mint and adjust those parameters. But if you want to do the freest version there, which I've used and it's not bad, you would use the gasless option and unmintable. So what happens next? Well, obviously you want to get your content out there. You'd want to hype it because people aren't going to know about this. Get involved, I'd recommend, with the community. They're a super passionate community. Honestly, you may turn out new fans, which is pretty cool. So get on Twitter, Clubhouse, Telegram, Discord, Instagram, Reddit. Just dive into those spaces because there's a lot of people out there that are passionate about this and they're excited. And so if you get excited about this and they're excited about this, they're going to check your stuff out, you know? So if anything, even if you don't make money, you might gain a new follower, a new fan. And then, of course, continue to produce and release content. And I think what I like about this concept is the idea that you're not just bulk producing content just to get it out there. You're not throwing stuff at a wall and hoping that it sticks. So obviously this is kind of a scenario for an ideal outcome. I don't know if you'll do it at this price point because this could be a little bit expensive and it may be a deterrent, but here's kind of the ideal simplified outcome. You release your content for 1 ETH, right? Which is technically about $1,800 right now. You've got your royalty set at 10%. A collector sees potential in your content because you're releasing good content, not just bulk content, and buys it. They then resell it for 10 ETH because they think that that's what it's actually worth. Suddenly your thing is worth now not just 1,800, it's worth 18,000. And I think that's the right math. 10 times, yeah. Anyway, then an artist determines that it is a good track. They buy it. You make 1 ETH commission off of it. Yes, the reseller made more money than you, but you still made a little bit of money on them putting it up for what they see it's worth. And you make a 1 ETH commission off of it, which means now you've turned your 1,800 into, what is that? More money. Ultimately, 3,600, I think. And then the artist released a track. If you've done your due diligence and you've written up your contract to retain some of those rights when it gets released, you will still collect a commission off of the track, the streams, whatever, however they decide to release the track. And right in there, stuff like sync licensing rights. Say that you want a commission of those, that it's okay that you want a commission or stuff like that. So what does this mean? Well, these are some things that you might not need to do anymore if this sort of thing can take off. And I've seen the successes of some of the artists out there in the painting space, in the graphic art space, so why can't it take off for the music space? So ideally, no more necessarily needing to retweet or tweet at artists or DM them on Instagram and bug them to get them to buy it, because you've added someone in between who, even if it never gets produced, you've made some money off of it from a collector, right? No more loading up your music to a centralized storage or a centralized storefront like Airbit, them taking a commission or them charging you to host off of them, or BeatStars, and just posting endless beats to hope to receive some $20 commission, right? Or $20 license, non-exclusive license. Also, no more money spent if you do this, like ClickFunnels. No more money trying to basically give a bunch of tracks away to people for like $20 or $27 or whatever you're doing. no shame on you if this is the process you enjoy doing. If you like this sort of way of selling beats, keep doing it. I just think that this has the potential to be the new way, and you have the potential of making a lot more money. So if that's interest to you, this I think is a place that's worth exploring. Now, what are some of the upsides? I think some of the upsides are that you can focus on quality content. There's so much just garbage out there, in my opinion, and people are just pushing stuff out because, you know, they just need to kind of saturate the market even more so. You know, you're applying kind of this true scarcity to the content. Because you're minting one-of-one exclusive content. People can see the paper trail. If you decide to mint it again, people are going to know. People are going to see, oh, this was minted then, and then he reminted it, right? It opens the market to collectors and traders. People that normally hasn't really been in this space are now have the ability of kind of being in this space. And it allows you to kind of engage with a different kind of market audience or market. It allows the market to determine the worth of your content, and you still collect a commission in that process. Very similar to the rack cassette tokens, which to me is a fascinating exploration of this concept. If you get on this, you would be new to this space. It would be kind of the Wild West. And so ultimately, because it's the Wild West, it is more volatile, but it also has more potential. Think about the people who were initially leasing out beats in the beginning and kind of how they were able to grow and people keep coming back to them. And then, of course, there is kind of outside it, you know, anything you get bought, you know, or the ETH that you gain from it can appreciate. So if you decide to cash out, you can cash out. But if you decide to hold on to it, there is potential. You know, there's rumors that Ethereum will go up to 3K. Who knows? It could drop down to $5. But the ability for it to potentially appreciate, which wouldn't necessarily happen. It kind of does on BeatStars. If you blow up, then your beats are definitely worth more. But this allows the market to determine kind of this appreciation. Now, of course, there are downsides. New market means smaller market, right? It's a technical market. There's a lot of stuff. I'm hoping to provide you guys with the knowledge through little videos and little, you know, if you follow me on Instagram or you hop on Reddit and follow me there, or you join our Discord, like I definitely intend on talking about this. So I will share my info. I'll share with you my white paper that I've been developing on this, which is going to have a lot more information than this. So, you know, please follow me, Kevin Savage NYC on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram. You know, I plan on posting some content about this in my stories. Of course, Discord is the best place because you can basically talk to me directly there. So it is a technical market. It is a complicated process. So my goal is to help make it less complicated and kind of give you my recommendations of how to do this efficiently. The downside of that is the people who are buying, if the final end user may not be on this place yet, right? Because right now we're looking at traders as being the main market. But hopefully artists will be like, oh wow, like rappers will be like, oh wow, there's someone selling beats on there, and they start looking at that space. And then there is obviously potential upfront costs with the gas fees and stuff like that, and it's potentially confusing. Now, I think that with these downsides, because it's such a new market, that those will become less and less relevant, that they will not be as much of a problem in the future. So I think that because it's a new market, these things are going to exist, but hopefully someday down the road, someone maybe, if you're a programmer, hit me up, because we'll talk about how to develop this into a platform, kind of like OpenSeas. But I think that someone will probably end up doing something like this down the road, which will make this whole thing easier. Unfortunately, it'll kind of be like a new centralized platform, but maybe someone will create kind of an NFT.cred version for the music space where it properly treats music and it has licenses or stuff like that. If you are someone who is a programmer who is also a producer, hit me up. Like I said, we can talk about this, kind of what things I think would be important and how we can make this into a reality. In my opinion, the future is endless. And that's kind of what I want to leave you with. I think that this is has a lot of potential, and I'm super excited about it. I've only been thinking about this for a few weeks after kind of learning about NFTs with the whole Wall Street Bets, Dogecoin, stuff like that. I just see a lot of potential, and there's a lot of chatter going on places like Clubhouse regarding this kind of concept, but with like art and visual art and stuff like that. So I was thinking, as a producer, how can we take on the NFT concept? And this is just one idea. I've had conversations with people, and we'll talk more about in future videos about how you can use NFTs for like merchandise or like album releases or stuff like that. And there's plenty of people out there who have different ideas that are similar to this, that maybe haven't been as vocal as I'm trying to be about it. I think that if you're not paying attention to NFTs, you're doing yourself a disservice. So again, I appreciate you tuning in. Leave a comment down below. Let me know what you think. If you have some ideas, hit me up on Twitter, hit me up on Discord, hit me up on Instagram. Let me know what your thoughts are. I'm always interested in my community and what their thoughts are. And I want to help you grow, and you guys help me grow. So I will be chatting with you all soon. Peace.